It's hard to say when the beginning of a story is. No matter how hard you try to trace it back, its origin doesn't come from that traumatic moment where you witness a crime and instead of being the hero we all think we would be, you froze. An innocent woman died and a culprit escaped. And you stood still discovering something about yourself that will always be there until the end. Was it then when you decided you had to be someone else? Standing next to a woman who was losing blood uncontrollably? Was it then when you decided you had to find him, the faceless man who liked to use obscenities to communicate? Well, the beginning of the story could be many years before, as you grew up in the remote countryside, where, to prevent children from venturing late into the wilderness of the forests, the elders invented stories of beasts, monsters, and demons that inhabited only in the darkness. Perhaps your fear comes from there, or it may be something more genetic, deep within your blood, what makes you human. The same panic that led your father to escape as soon as he found out your mother was pregnant with you. The same fear your grandfather had when instead of facing the enemy on a battlefield and dying a hero with his comrades, he deserted, living eternally, escaping his past and taking refuge in the simple and routine future, breeding cowards. Fear is the origin, and it has always been there. Long ago when the faceless man told you not to move while he hurt a woman. It has been there for thousands of years, ensuring that every ancestor survived so that you could live this moment. God knows you're still afraid. After all this time, even though you're no longer a boy, and you're closer to your old age than your youth, you're still afraid even though that faceless man, the same one from that distant night, is vulnerable in front of you, with his hands tied and his mouth sealed. You're flooded with panic. But that doesn't stop you from putting him alive in a box, throwing him into a clandestine hole in the middle of nowhere, and sealing it with dirt, while you swear, even if it's impossible, that you can hear the exclamations of the faceless man, begging for mercy, the one he didn't have for others. God knows you are afraid, and you always will be, no matter how many graves you have dug or will dig. And God knows there are many. Writing a book, especially a work of fiction, is a strange endeavor when you think about it. Generally, you do it without the certainty that you will even finish it once you start. You don't know if it will ever have readers. There is no guarantee of any economic compensation, and you must dedicate a lot of time to it, not only writing, but also planning and thinking about it day after day. However, it's an adventure that more and more people are embarking on, especially nowadays thanks to the help of digital tools and the internet age. An estimate says that 6,000 ISBNs were assigned per day in 1990, a large number, but small compared to the estimate for 2023 with 385,000 ISBNs assigned per day. People are writing more. We are full of stories, and many of us dream of seeing them on paper, if possible on bookstore shelves. It's common to wonder how to do it, how to start. People feel discouraged by how overwhelming such a project can seem. You just need to start at the beginning, have an idea. You need an idea, not just a good idea, but an idea that you're passionate about. In fact, forget about the part of a good idea. Passion is what matters. Only passion can lead to great execution. There are many books whose premises sound simple and unoriginal, but they are marvelous because they were written with passion. Keep your idea present. See if it grows within you and what form it takes. If it truly passions you, that idea will not abandon you. It will catch you in sudden moments. You are free to write your book however you want. Despite all the courses and books, there are no rules written in stone. Do you want to invent your own language and write it with unique symbols? It's up to you. But there are certain parameters that can be helpful when connecting with potential readers. I'm nobody really to give you any advice, but I'll do it anyway. In my case, I like to focus scene by scene or chapter by chapter, even before considering the overall landscape of the story. I sit down and write that chapter, which usually tends to be the first. Like any relationship, at the beginning it's exciting, hot. The excitement blinds you and you put your beloved one on a pedestal. You think about her all day and how lucky you are. But one thing is having the idea, the sensation of the story clear and present in your mind and spirit. Another thing is writing it. Saying it with words on a blank page. That's where many stumble. It requires patience, diverse readings, and knowing your own voice and style. You write and write at first, unsure of where you're going with it all. Then comes another big obstacle. Time. You've written the first chapters. You have explored your story and given voice to your characters. But something is missing. You've lost the excitement, the spark. What you need to know is that it's normal. It's part of every relationship. The honeymoon phase is over and now you're afraid of commitment. You see the possible mistakes, your flaws and those of the book. Why bother so much if nobody's going to read this thing? Well, you might not like the solution to this problem, but the only remedy I have found for this setback is to force myself to write. Don't wait for external motivation, not even internal. Don't wait for the sky to illuminate you and inspire you to write. Nobody else cares about that book because only you know it. The only thing left to do is to sit down, aware that you don't want to do it. Open the document, read a little to return to the world you have conceived yourself, and write. Your mind and insecurities will fight with you and tell you to quit, that you're not cut out for it. But don't listen to them, just write. Write and you'll see your love for the book come alive again. Having written a few paragraphs will awaken the motivation you've been longing for. And that's the absurdity of this world. The only way to find the desire you think you need to write your book is by writing it. Train your mind to get used to that exercise. To know that when you sit down in front of your blank pages, time belongs to that universe of letters, not to leisure or social media. It's a fascinating experience. You terrify yourself with what you're capable of doing. And you understand why it's so intoxicating to finally have a bunch of pages together that you can call your book, your work. It's a heap of words that together become something eternal. Something that can reach many people and penetrate their minds. And perhaps leave a mark on their soul.